thought about how the thrilling games, giant sets, and intense moments in Squid Games were brought to life? If you've ever wondered how they made it look so real, this is your backstage pass to the secrets behind the hit show. Remember the very first game, Red Light, Green Light? The crew used only 300 actors for that shoot. The Red Light, Green Light game is one of Squid Game's most famous and intense parts. Even though the actors weren't in danger, filming this scene was hard. The director, Hwang Dong-hyuk, said it was the hardest to film because there were over 300 extras and 20 martial arts actors on set. Getting so many people to move at the right time was tricky, especially since some scenes were filmed in slow motion. If anyone messed up, they had to redo the whole take, which made filming very long and tiring. Behind-the-scenes footage from Squid Game reveals how the intense tug-of-war scene was filmed. Instead of pulling against another team of actors, Ji-hun and his teammates were up against a machine designed to pull the rope. Lee Yu-mi explained that they had to use all their strength, but the machine always won no matter how hard they pulled. It felt like a game you couldn't beat, just like in Squid Game. The glass stepping stone scene might look terrifyingly high, but most of it was filmed on a set only about 1.5 meters, about 5 feet off the ground. This height allowed for shots underneath the bridge and scenes where characters fell to their deaths. In reality, the falling actors landed on platforms hidden by VFX, which made the falls look realistic. However, not all the filming was done at this safer height. For a few shots, the cast filmed on a higher set, about 6 meters. Imagine increasing the stakes to 19 feet off the ground. That made the experience even more nerve-wracking for the actors and thrilling for the audience. Another part the audience really enjoyed was one of the hardest moments of the film. It was the moment when Ali grabbed Ji-hun to stop him from falling. The position was so awkward that it was impossible to hold for long. They used wires to support Ji-hun, which made his shirt lift weirdly. After filming, the effects team had to remove the wires on the computer and fix his shirt so it looked normal. It took a lot of work to make the scene look real. Just like it, the arenas were made to look bigger with CGI. Many of the locations in Squid Game were built for real, like the bunk beds and the marble arena. But computer effects were still needed to make the sets look larger. For example, the tug-of-war platforms were real, but the background was digitally extended to make the room look massive. Even though the stairs room was partly built, CGI made the stairs seem endless, inspired by a famous piece of art. The painted sky in the red light, green light arena wasn't real. It was added using CGI. At first, the director wasn't sure how the walls should look, so they used a blue screen to keep their options open. He thought about adding bright colors, but chose a more realistic, eerie look instead. Even without the background finished, the actors had enough on set, like the big doll and the tree, to feel the fear while filming. Actress Young Ho-yeon said those props were enough to make them feel truly scared. But it wasn't just the game arenas in Squid Game that relied on CGI. Some scenes outside the games were also created using computer effects. For example, the overhead shot of the island in the first episode was filmed on a small piece of land with just a few warehouses. Everything else was added digitally, like the huge arena with the retractable roof. Even the airport in the final episode and the first episode of Season 2 wasn't real. The team had planned to use a real airport, but COVID-19 restrictions made it impossible. Instead, they filmed the scene in a studio and used CGI to make it look like a real airport. Now that's one that seems unbelievable, right? And you probably didn't know, but also didn't know the director shouted "bang" for gunshots. The director, Hwang Dong-hyuk, took safety very seriously when filming the show. For scenes with guns, he made sure no real danger was involved. In fact, many gunshot sounds were added later as effects. In some scenes, Hwang simply shouted "bang" to signal a gunshot instead of using sound effects during filming. Like Lee Jung-jae, the actors flinched at his cue as if they heard a real gunshot. Watching them react makes it easy to forget it was just the director's voice. Remember the dramatic glass bridge explosion in Squid Game Season 1? The glass shards were created using combined practical effects and CGI. To capture the slow-motion scene perfectly, the crew used a phantom camera that filmed at 3,000 frames per second. This meant the actors had to time their reactions carefully to match the shot. To make it look realistic, a crew member cut small slashes into Jung Ho-yeon's uniform between takes to show the glass tearing through her clothes. They also sprayed the actors with tiny particles that looked like glass, which they had to shake out of their hair after each take. The explosion of the glass bridge itself was first attempted with practical effects, but it didn't look right. So, the team switched to CGI to create the shattering effect. This required painstaking work, as the VFX team had to edit the reflections on each glass shard to make them look real. Even simple props in Squid Game, like the giant piggy bank full of money, used visual effects. While the crew built a real piggy bank, the plexiglass was too reflective under spotlights, making it hard to see the money inside. The filmmakers replaced it with a CGI version to fix this, ensuring it looked clear and realistic on screen. Speaking about realism, Jo Yuri couldn't get Dakji right, so they had to use CGI. In Squid Game Season 2, Jo Yuri plays Kim Junhee, a pregnant woman caught in the deadly tournament. Like the first season, the games in Season 2 are based on traditional childhood games from South Korea, but with deadly consequences for failure. In Episode 5, One More Game, Kim Junhee successfully flips the Dakji on her first try, showcasing her skill. However, the actress struggled to get it right during filming. Jo Yuri had so much trouble with the Dakji flip that the director eventually decided to use CGI to achieve the perfect shot. The sequence is about a minute long, filled with complex camera movements and precise coordination between the actors. While a minute might not seem like much, the intricate planning made every mistake feel like a major setback. Jo Yuri's struggles at the start of such a detailed scene became so frustrating that the team opted for visual effects to save time and ensure a flawless result. The producers also did something similar with Kang Ha-neul. He spent days practicing gongi but couldn't get it, so the crew had to use a pro player instead. Kang Dae-ho quickly becomes a standout character, impressing everyone with his skill during the gongi game. His confidence is clear as he speeds through the round with incredible precision. However, viewers don't realize that the actor, Kang Ha-neul, only performs at the start and end of the game. The close-up shots of the game in progress are actually performed by a professional gongi player. Kang Ha-neul worked hard to master the game, spending days practicing to make his character's skills look believable. Despite his hard work, the level of expertise required for the scene meant the showrunners brought in a pro for the detailed close-ups. While Kang Ha-neul's dedication paid off in making the transition seamless, the show ultimately relied on someone with years of experience with the game. The use of this substitution and subtle visual effects was so well done that most viewers never noticed. That's exactly what the creators aimed to do, to keep the illusion intact and make the games feel as real and intense as possible. Squid Game Season 3 will be out soon, and you shouldn't just be looking out for its release. Tiny details like the ones we showed you here will also be used. Keep an eye out for them when it's released. But for now, let us know which of these behind the scenes surprised you the most in the comments section.